Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome the Peter Duke, George Webb, and Tommy Carrigan for the final show on the docket today on neighborhoodnewsstudio.com.
Tommy Carrigan is back.
I'm alive. What are you laughing at, George? George, you're muted. What are you laughing at?
I'm going to I can't hear very well, so I'm going to just tell you where I am. I'm on my way to the Black Sea because, you always have to go to the Black Sea. If you try to get into Ukraine one way and you get shut down by missile attacks, I'm not kidding, get shut down by missile attacks, then you have to go either to the north or to the south. Well, I tried to go to the north. They cut me off. Belarus would not let me in as an American. So now I'm in Budapest. I'll just walk you around here a little bit in Budapest. And I'll tell you where I'm not staying tonight. But Peter Duke always told me, he said, if you can't find your hotel, go to some place that's light. Go to some place where there's lots of lights. So I thought, there's the big Ferris wheel, and there's the Ritz-Carlton. So at least I got a shot here, I'm going toward the light, Peter.
If you got to stay on the Ritz-Carlton, you got to start. You have to stay on the top two floors, right? Because that's the one that the Saudi princes own, right? It's always the top two floors.
I won't be on that floor, no.
Yeah.
I'm actually at the Eurotrash Hotel. That's where they throw their garbage. But anyway,
that's where the workers stay.
I had a horrible trip here. It was 11 hours in a bus, a stinky bus. It broke down 3 times going over the little Alps in between here and Krakow. And I haven't made it to my hotel yet. But I said, damn it, I'm on with the 3 best entertainers in news. I'm with Peter Duke.
Because that's what news needs. It needs entertainment.
Well, it does need a little sauce every once in a while.
With CNN Plus tanking, it definitely needs some more entertainment.
Yeah, how does it feel to know that the network news studio is doing better than CNN Plus this week? You guys have a better business model than CNN.
Well, it's guys like you and Tommy that are kicking ass. You're interesting. You're honest. That's the first thing, is you're freaking honest. And then you're funny. Tommy's funny. Peter, sometimes you're funny. I'm never funny.
I can be Tommy's straight man, though.
Yes, you are a great straight man. Andy's funny. This is a great network because you get the news and we're funny. I'm never that funny, but Tommy's a scream and Andy's a scream, and you're a great straight man, Peter.
What the hell is CNN Plus?
It's dead.
You don't even need to know.
You don't even.
Okay.
It was a $300 million streaming subscription news service put together by CNN.
Oh yeah, no. There's a woman who's a big fan of my show, and she texted me, and she was like, "Just so you know, you're running She was like, you technically have more subscribers out of your apartment than CNN Plus does." And I was like, "What?" She was like, "Yeah."
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you look at people like Tim Pool. Tim Pool has been kicking CNN's ass every night for like 4 years now. Like, more people watch Tim Pool than watch CNN. So,
good Lord in heaven. I mean, it's hilarious though. It's hilarious to watch the inevitable unfold. I don't know.
It's the collapse of empire.
Well, it only lasted 27 days, so it was a short $300 million investment. I wonder if it was just some money laundering payoff scheme for.
Yeah, because that $300 million went somewhere, right? Checks got written and it went into bank accounts and.
Yeah,
they're supposed to send some of it to George Webb in Neighborhood News, aren't they?
They threw us out, Andy, but I've got an appeal going on in the court of 6th District. But what I wanted to talk about tonight was just our coverage of Ukraine has been better. I mean, just take Tommy's people that he's interviewed. He's got Ken Allebeck in Solon, Ohio. He's got all the people that cohort with Kolomoisky in Warren, Ohio. He's interviewed every possible Delta Force guy ever that's ever done any special operation ever. I mean, these are incredibly interesting interviews. Peter's got so many great interviews with, Jim Hoft of Gateway Pundit, and just one after another of people that are really doing leading edge stuff. I would love to see you interview in a secret silhouette interview, Peter, Zero Hedge guy, the
first thing that we need to do is find out why they blocked me. So Zero Hedge, and very early, like I would say that this happened in 2016, 15, 16, 17, I don't even remember. Two very important Peter Duke blocks were Zero Hedge and Sebastian Gorka, which I have no, I didn't have a beef with any of them particularly. Like I don't remember saying or doing anything that I thought would have been offensive or going after any of them. Or, I've kind of acerbic wit, and when I make fun of people, I usually frame it as a question instead of, making a direct accusation towards somebody. But I love Zero Hedge. I have to subscribe to their newsletter now because they have me blocked on Twitter.
I was going to say, I actually do recognize CNN Plus because about 20 minutes ago, I saw a tweet about someone who I don't even know who they are. I just saw it trending. It was a tweet by someone named, I think, Sam Stein. And it said, we really shouldn't be laughing at CNN in defeat. Like, that's poor. Something along the lines of, that's gross. And I said, shut up, you used some unkind words. And then I just found out I've been banned from Twitter for a week. So there we go. Well, I guess my tweet won't show up, but
okay. So you got to be acerbic and frame your accusations as questions, and then they won't ban you.
No, no. It's not my show, so I won't repeat what I said. But it wasn't that bad.
It's your show, Tommy.
Okay, so he said blah blah blah. This sucks. And as someone that's been banned from YouTube and people cheated on, so I just said shut up, faggot, and I got banned for a week.
Well, okay, so here's how I approach the same thing. I put up a poll yesterday, I believe, and it said politics is, and it's a poll, and answer number 1 is fake, and answer number 2 is gay, and answer number 3 is all of the above. And I just put it out there in the world, and instead of just saying that politics is fake and gay, I make it. And I ask people the question, and I let them come to the same conclusion.
Yeah, put it out as a true or false, fake and or gay, T/F. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can have a lot of fun with polls.
Yeah, I guess I was just kind of off the cuff. I was just like, Who is this? Who is this pussy?
This is what I need.
Something for CNN Plus.
That poll wouldn't be allowed in the Florida classroom, by the way. Mr. Peter Duke,
I just say to you guys, this is what I needed after 10 hours of going through all these windy Siskane roads in the mountains and then breaking down and then watching these roadsides with cars going by where you don't know any words of any sign. Everything is Cyrillic. Everything is CGZ.
If you have the new version of the iPhone, George, you could take pictures of the stuff and it will translate it right in the iPhone.
But you need internet. See, and that's what I didn't have. I didn't have the internet for the Google Lens. I love Google Lens. It's got the great translate capability. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of one of those things where it's the societal breakdown. As soon as snow crash, as soon as the goggles go out, then everybody comes out of their containers, and then Klaus Schwab, what happens then?
Yeah, but this is kind of, I'm kind of doubling down on my comments to Mr. Stein. Is that you have guys all right, whatever. I haven't done a whole lot. I was banned from YouTube, and people cheer. There's it's a First Amendment doesn't apply to corporations, and it's yeah, but it's not a very liberal ideal to squash people who you disagree with. And then you guys have like George, who are truly on
It's
the
a
other
liberal
side of
idea? That's not a liberal idea. That's a communist idea.
a liberal value, the idea that the classic liberal, the 60s, don't trust anyone over 30. Peter, shut up. Let me make my point.
Okay.
The point is this: is no one who likes these colors should be for. No, you're right. The First Amendment doesn't apply to private corporations. I still defend that. YouTube doesn't have to provide me, but the very idea that we shouldn't have to do this. No, you should be able to be allowed to speak. And so when people cheer, haha, like you got banned for interviewing Dr. Malone. Or when people are like, laugh, oh, George Webb's banned again, yet George is on the other side of the world pursuing these stories. I have no sympathy or empathy for CNN perpetuating false narratives, actually affecting the world around them, having the hundreds of millions of dollars to do so, and then all we want is a chuckle at their expense, and people are putting on their suit of armor, and they're like, don't laugh at CNN and their disgrace. No, shut up, faggot. Like, I'm doubling down on my comment. Like, that's all it is. Sorry.
A lot of people don't know that the First Amendment started with "Shut up, Peter."
Look, yeah, and you know what? My comment is
"Shut up, Peter." Tommy Hancock, 1776.
Exactly.
I said it with love. I love you.
My comment was about the fact that what you're doing is liberal. That is, speaking your mind is liberal. And what we've done is that we've taken the terms and turned them inside out, right? And I don't call it classic liberal. I call it liberal, and there's communists. C. Wright Mills said in his famous Power Elite book that Americans have always been conservatives, but there's always been confusion because the values that they want to conserve are liberal values. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, all men are created equal, and the Bill of Rights stuff. Those are liberal values. So we let the communists start calling themselves liberals in the 1930s, and now in the 2020s, okay, we're having this word salad confusion because we're talking about a group of people who are communists, who call themselves liberals as liberals, and it leaves us out into in the woods without any kind of understanding about who we are. You're a liberal. I think everybody on this thing is a liberal. That is, we believe in life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, all that other Bill of Rights stuff. And they're communists. That's my point.
Yeah. No, they absolutely are.
Well, I want to chime in on semantics because
is it true that Fauci was arrested?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on anybody's line.
Come on, man.
When CNN Plus came out, I thought it was Zucker Plus. I thought, oh, there's Jeff leaving CNN. He's going to create some kind of shell company where he can get like $300 million out of it, and they're going to
exactly.
They're going to build a soundstage out his yard, and they're going to build a yacht. All these things. Oh, oops! It didn't work out. Jeff, you can just keep the stuff.
They bought some gold bars and they put them in a safe, and yeah.
Hey man, that's kind of badass if they swindled CNN out of $300 million and laundered it and bought some. I mean, that's hell yeah, that's awesome.
I think the world is so much easier to understand if you just think of it as a giant Coppola movie. Like, these people are just all gangsters, right?
Yeah.
These are all gangster moves. And if you start thinking about it that way, things make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Even he was a mobster. If you look, yeah, you're right. If you look at all like they're mobsters, it provides a great insight. So, Peter, do you want to get into some articles on the Duke Report here?
Oh, I mean, we could. The highlight today is, oops, accidentally another major food supplier just burned to the ground yesterday. Like, oops, how did that happen? And if you dig into the article, I love this Organic Purple website. They're great. But if you dig into it, they're thinking that it might have had something to do with a cyber attack. So you get two for the price of one, right? You get the food, and it's organic food that's being targeted, which means that the only thing that you're going to be able to get in the supermarket is going to be the GMOs. So, so you get the double whammy. You get the GMO. You're not going to be able to get your organic food, and you're going to have to eat the GMOs. And oh yeah, it looks like it was a cyber attack that burned the factory down. Wasn't that a conceit in Mr. Robot? Didn't they do that in Mr. Robot?
It looked like it was a cyber attack from unvaccinated Canadian truckers. Oh, Christ. Well, let's fight back against all of it.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I mean,
Keep going, Peter. I'm sorry. I'm just touring around to give you a little bit of the,
That's okay. I'm looking for. There was a wry comment from my new favorite Twitter account, which is Klaus posting W's. I have to go. Who made an incredibly funny comment about this story?
Peter, can I get your thoughts on Florida passing that bill against the self-governance of Disney? On one hand, Disney does seem like a giant pedophile conglomerate, but on the other hand, I have to stay true to I don't like the idea of government stepping in and thrashing a company, even if I don't agree with them and they are a woke steaming pile of shit. Because if I condone this today, then I have to condone it tomorrow. What are your thoughts on that? I don't know enough about self-governance.
Right. Well, I mean, I was just talking to a friend of mine about this earlier. I believe in capitalism, right? I believe in those, kind of sovereign rights that corporations have. However, when they start to act like monopolies, or when they start to act as monopolies, I think that they put themselves into a position where they need to be regulated. And I've talked often before about Section 230, about how I thought Trump, all he had to do is have Ajit Pai send a letter to Facebook and Twitter and tell them that they were in violation of their Section 230 protection, and that they were not going to be able to protect themselves. It wouldn't have required any kind of congressional action or anything like that. But Disney is an interesting case because Disney has always done things in a way that kind of allowed them to kind of skirt convention. Specifically, Disney does not have employees. Disney has cast members. If you work for Disney, you are not an employee. You are a cast member. And the reason that Disney has cast members is because Walt was faced, when the civil rights movement was happening in the 60s, Walt didn't want to have to kowtow to political correctness in order to cast his characters who are walking around the theme park. So the way that they got around it was that they made everyone at Disney a cast member. So when you get your ID, when you get a job at Disney and you get your ID, it's your cast member ID. So for a long time, Disney has been doing things like that. So specifically, what is this law? Because I'm not sure that I read about it yet.
It happened today. I remember self-governance because I just remember reading a book in college about how Disney was technically its own government. But a bill was passed today. I think it was proposed yesterday, but it was passed today, April 21st, 2022. And it's removing Disney's, ability for self-governance, which means there's a whole bunch more taxes they have to start paying, which again to me is absurd because as a more conservative guy, I don't like the idea of cheering on now you got to pay to the government. And it's wait, hold on, what am I cheering? But they were stripped of their self-governance, which it thinks.
I think if I understand it, so Disney World is huge. It's bigger than a lot of counties in the United States, and yeah. I believe that when Disney World was created, that
their own fire department, their own waterworks.
They are their own municipality. So I think that if I understand it correctly, that they've been stripped of their ability to do that. So
isn't that the whole point of the Epcot Center in the first place?
Except they never built it.
I guess
they built the main street at Epcot. I had many friends who worked at Disney who were supposed to work on Epcot, and that kind of ended with Eisner. It's a half a theme park that never got finished, Epcot.
I guess my concern is, it's not a coincidence that this happened now and not once in the last 50 years. There's clearly animosity towards Disney right now, specifically within Florida, specifically within Republican politicians. I don't like as much as I'd love to cheer on the destruction of that pedophile steaming pile of shit, at the same time, you're laying down a precedence for, I'm against government overreach unless they go after the guys I don't like. And it's that's how we got into the situation of vaccine mandates. That's how we got into the situation of I'm cheering on this war, is because we are more concerned about owning the other side and not watching the government grow more strong. The government the left can go, hell yeah, we need a stronger surveillance state after January 6th. And it's well, this is going to apply to you as well. And then now the tables are turned and we're DeSantis is really owning the libs. And it's dude, this is the government now setting a precedent that they can come in and you can't do this anymore. You're done. What we're doing is we're trading blows, but all the while, the big machine is getting stronger and stronger of government, but none of us give a shit because we're just owning the other side.
So one of my favorite terms that I ever learned from George Webb was hair pulling, and
I think that's Pornhub, not George Webb.
It could be, but this is a George Webb style of hair pulling. One of the issues that we have, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, as far as liberals and communists, is that you start to have. I said earlier that I'm a capitalist and I understand how corporations need to be sovereign. The problem is that Klaus, after World War II, he and his buddies started creating these public-private partnerships that were modeled after Nazi Germany. And so the differentiation between government and corporations starts to become blurred. And in a perfect world, people ask me what kind of economic system. I like capitalism. I don't think that we live in a capitalist country. I think that we live in a country that is ruled by, if you look at the relationship between Boeing and Raytheon and Lockheed and General Dynamics and the United States government, okay, that's a public-private partnership, and those are controlled monopolies. If you look at Facebook and Google and Twitter, those are controlled monopolies. You don't see a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, go build your own Facebook or go build your own Twitter." Well, you can't do it when those companies. Sundance wrote a really interesting editorial a couple of days ago on Conservative Treehouse about Twitter. He called it Jack's Coffee Shop. And he made the analogy that Jack Dorsey opened a coffee shop, and he had an advantage, and the advantage was that he gave away free coffee. And when other people started to try to open coffee shops, they found out that you can't open coffee shops with the give away free coffee because you can't make any money doing it. And then people have found out virtually by Elon Musk's trying to bid for Twitter that it turns out that maybe the reason that Jack can give coffee away for free is because Jack's partner on the back end is the United States government.
And the House of Saud.
What?
And the House of Saud.
And the House of Saud. So in a purist kind of sense, I totally agree with you. I'm 100% on board. I'm just not sure that what we see is what's actually happening. And that's, thank you, George Webb, because Toto's continually running to the back of the booth and finding another curtain to pull back.
My comment on this dialogue here, which is very interesting, is we all seem to have a sense of what reality really is. And even though there's all this money, like trillions being put into this kind of programming, we all kind of reject it and say that's not real.
Yeah.
And that's the amazing part to me, because when I was I don't know, 11 or 12 and watching I Dream of Jeannie after school or whatever, I thought, maybe someday I'll have a lamp and I'll be able to have a genie, but we all get out of that. We all realize this is not, the Congress isn't really Congress. It's just a big show, and it's really Klaus Schwab running things. We all know that intuitively. So whatever they're doing that they think is so, so mesmerizing or hypnotic is not working. I mean, that's the one thing I hear from all of you is you all know what's really happening. And Peter, it's interesting because you worked at DreamWorks and you worked at, did a lot of creativity stuff for Disney and stuff. And that was all great entertainment. But at the end of the day, you knew it was entertainment. You knew it wasn't news. Like when you say great story, bro,
Right.
It's like you have no facts to back it up, but great story, bro. We somehow have this sense of being able to throw it all out, even though they've spent so much money on this.
Well, we do. And, somebody was talking to me about the Duke Report earlier today. And, one of the things that I try to do on the Duke Report is not preach. It's all links, right? I don't have any editorial opinion. The only thing I'm really doing is I'm curating the content that's on there. And by virtue of, but for people who find their way to the Duke Report, if they want to find answers for themselves, that's the reason that thing exists. Because I don't think that you can shock people into this. I think that they have to have a certain amount of inquiry. They have to have a certain amount of curiosity about why 2 + 2 = 5. Like I didn't learn that in school, right? So if you can. If you can lead people to it, then maybe they can wake up. But I still think that we're a tiny percentage, George. I think that, we get bigger and bigger every day. I think that the people who follow us get bigger and bigger every day. But I think that, they get distracted by people. I heard Bill Taylor talking about Russell Brand. Russell Brand is an interesting cat. He says a lot. He's very much like Steve Bannon in my book. He uses a lot of neurolinguistic programming. He throws a lot of red meat out to people saying things that they want to hear. I want to believe everything that Russell Brand and Steve Bannon says. I just don't trust them. And I think that there is a lot of kind of attention farming. I call it attention farming, where people are out there and they're trying to gain control of audiences. They're either trying to gain control of audiences for power. They're trying to gain control of audiences because they're grifting and they're making money. They're trying to gain control of audiences because they're controlled opposition and they don't actually want people to find out what's really going on. And so they can take them, down the road and then at the last minute take them into a cul-de-sac where they, the Q cul-de-sac where they crash and burn. The Monkey Works cul-de-sac where they crash and burn. There's all kind.
Let me take an example of that, and I'm interested in your feedback with Tommy's feedback and Andy's feedback. Tommy, the Gonzo Lira story.
As of today, yeah.
Okay, so Peter's much. I think you've been following it for a couple of weeks.
It's funny because I don't know. It was the way that I discovered him was very much the way that I discovered George Webb. His video showed up in my YouTube feed one day, and he was walking out of his apartment someplace in Ukraine. He was in Kiev or something, I think. And he just started live streaming. And I thought, at Kharkov. And I thought, okay, well, this guy is in the middle of the action. I'm just going to follow him. And I think he probably only had 8,000 or 9,000 followers when I started following him. Now he's got 55,000.
Yeah, well, so the interesting thing about reality meeting this kind of school play world is he seemed really super genuine to me, and he's saying, hey, there's this bad shit happening, and hey, the reason why he was so interesting to me is because he's the only guy saying Kolomoisky's the whole key to the bioweapons. He's saying Kolomoisky, it's Hunter Biden, it's Metabiota, they did Wuhan, they did January 6th. It's always these same guys. You got to realize this is the CIA, Hunter Biden's the patsy, all the things I've been saying for like 6 years. But this guy is saying it and really getting a big audience.
Well, there was another account that popped up today that I think the Duke Report is following, and maybe my producer Carrie can send me a link to it, and I can share it with you. But it's a new account with his name and his picture. And I read the first tweet from this account, and I thought, did George write this? Because it sounds like it sounds exactly like you wrote it. She's looking for it now. So,
back to what you started real quick. Sorry, back to what you're saying about Russell Brand, though, is I've kind of accepted in my mind, based on nothing and backed up by nothing, challenged by no one. So it's purely a delusional dogma that I've now created. But if
I
someone,
love these preambles.
if someone,
Like, you
it's
shouldn't listen to anything that I'm about
you
to say.
shouldn't. It's in the course of human events. Yeah, we the people, and then I'm a complete delusional psychopath in a room with not enough oxygen. But if someone uses clickbait thumbnails and clickbait titles, they are, number one, not to be trusted, and it's because A, they are grifters, or B, they have nefarious intent. And I think that's just, so that doesn't mean the Venn diagram. It doesn't mean everyone that has a thumb, and you know what they are. You want to show the whites of your eyes, your mouth is open, you want a white thumbnail around you with bright colors, and then at least one word, not all of them, but one word in the title is all caps. You see Tim Pool do it. I don't think that necessarily makes him bad, but the ones that are pushing this shit, like Russell Brand, are, I think, regardless, I really don't think they can be trusted. But it means it's either A, because they are grifters, or B, because they are, like you have said several times, Peter, you don't trust them as far as you can throw them. When you see something like that, look at George. You go to George's Twitter. George's Twitter is it's just statements, and it's just, the thumbnail is just the first frame of the video he's taking. And I know that may sound stupid, and it may sound like I'm being like meticulous, but when you're trying to just portray a story or put something out there, that's all it is. It's just, here's the thing. I got the thing. It's no, Klaus Schwab said what? To me, that's either someone who's trying to just grift, or it's someone who's trying to use the same language that everyone else is using so that they can get into the zeitgeist. I don't trust Russell Brand at all. I don't know what's behind him, but it just doesn't, it seems too artificial. Sorry.
No. I agree with you. And again, Scott Adams turned me on to hypnosis 4 years ago. I started studying hypnosis, Milton Erickson. I started studying the CIA version of hypnosis, which is called neurolinguistic programming. Basically, the way neurolinguistic programming works is that in order to teach operators hypnosis quickly, they came up with this system by virtue, and what you do is you analyze the words that people are using to construct sentences. If you think about it, hypnosis is just using language in order to change the frame that what people are that they frame their reality on. And in the 100 years ago or 200 years ago, if you took the trivium at university, you learned rhetoric. We don't learn rhetoric anymore. Rhetoric is just basically hypnosis with words, written hypnosis. But if you understand what neurolinguistic programming is, you understand that it's about analyzing the words that are coming out of people's mouths and the way they construct sentences, because what they do is that they speak in a certain way that allows the person who's receiving the message to go into an alpha state. When they go into the alpha state, then they can make a suggestion. Mm-hmm. When they make the suggestion, then the person goes to a cocktail party the next day, and Sean Hannity's words are coming out of their mouth like it's their words. Rachel Maddow's words are coming out of their mouth like it's their own words. So Russell Brand uses neurolinguistic programming. Sean Hannity uses it. Rachel Maddow uses it. Tucker Carlson uses it. Steve Bannon uses it. When you start to recognize these patterns, okay, then you start to wonder whether or not they've got a really good writer who just came from Langley, or whether or not they were taught this, or whether or not it's just a style that they picked up. You don't really know. But the reality is that, like I said, it's attention farming. And to your point about thumbnails and clickbait headlines and things like that, this is all attention farming that you're noticing.
Yeah.
What do you think? What kind of programming is Joe Biden using when he talks?
He's got a thing in his ear, and he's repeating whatever the words are that the person is saying.
But in a weird way that actually kind of dovetails back into the point before Russell Brand about George talking about how we see their trillions of dollars of investments into propaganda, into stories, yet we all know they're kind of bullshit. To me, although it's optimistic that we see through it, at the same time, it speaks volumes to the power of the state, in that it doesn't matter if we see through it. It's out to just, you don't have to just send out riot police. You can send out the tanks. It doesn't matter that we all know it's bullshit. We still keep partaking in the system every day. There is, and I'm not obviously not calling, but there is no violent overthrow. There is no nothing. We all go, I know, everyone knows that the government whacked JFK. Everyone knows there are fishy things around the Gulf of Tonkin in 9/11. Everyone knows the COVID story isn't what we think it is. And we don't, and no one does anything. And again, because I have had troubles with this before, I'm not calling for action by anyone to anyone. But although it's good that we see through it, at the same time, it speaks volumes that it doesn't matter. So, what neuro-linguistic programming is Biden using? None. He's a geriatric, dementia-riddled pedophile who is placed and is an illegitimate regime. We know it. They know it. They know we know it. And we know they know we know it. And no one's going to do anything. So in a weird way, it's kind of blackpilling. Sorry.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, Michael Hoffman talks about the whole phenomenon that you're discussing in his book, Psychological Warfare, Secret Societies of Psychological Warfare. It's known in occult circles as revelation of the method, which is that people are more accepting of what you're about to do to them if you let them know first that you're going to do it to them, which is kind of the basis for predictive programming. There's a famous scene in Goldfinger where James Bond is he's strapped down to a table and Goldfinger is telling him all of his plans, and he goes, "Do you expect me to talk, Goldfinger?" And Goldfinger goes, "No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die."
Yeah.
And that's kind of the MO that we're dealing with. If somebody brought up that tweet, I wanted to look at that tweet and show George that tweet.
The Lyra one?
Yeah, the on the new Lyra account. I'll read it to you while he's finding it. Okay, so it's Real Gonzo Lyra 1, and here's the tweet, George. "They may shut this down, but if you hear nothing else, if they finally get to me, or if I go off the grid, remember this: Zelensky is a puppet of Kolomoisky, who is a puppet himself. Those two subjects, biolabs, Hunter Biden, many a death can be attributed to these truths." Okay, now they're using the word truth, so this makes me think this is a QAnon operator, right? So, that was on Celia Farber's Substack.
This is the equivalent of if Twitter existed in 1963. Of Lee Harvey Oswald 420 posting, "People are going to try to say I'm a CIA asset. This is all me. This is no one else. This is all me." That's exactly what this feels like.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, my comment is all the NLP and all that stuff, no matter what, the human heuristics for watching somebody say something and how they speak and how they deliver their, message is somehow this like super X-ray that says this is bullshit, or this is somebody who's really trying to get truth to me. And Gonzo was one of those guys that just immediately struck you as somebody who was on the ground trying to get juice to you. And Russell Brand is like trying to comb perfume into his chest hair and get the next, movie deal. You know what I mean? It's just kind of a situation, and, where you really should just kind of take the money and run, Peter, when people are 2 or 3 years too far into their, modeling career. And that's where Russell Brand is with his thing. And he's trying to retread himself as a truth spokesman, whereas Gonzo came in and he had the glasses and he had the hat and everything, and I don't know if it was an act or not, but man, he was saying Kolomoisky's the guy who's projecting these bioweapons all over the world. He's the guy who did Wuhan. He's the guy who did this in Africa. He's over here. He's over there. It's metabiota. It's all CIA. It's and I'm like, whoa. Even though he was repeating back to me things that I'd said over the last 6 years, just hearing somebody else say it was so refreshing. And the fake account that came out after the death, because this guy Scott Ritter is saying he's dead, a lot of people. Ava Bartlett said he's not been heard from, and that she's kind of like the female Walter Cronkite. I'm like, wow. When Ava Bartlett says somebody really didn't get heard from, I'm like, whoa, that's really bad. And so I went through kind of a depression yesterday that he's probably dead. And I was kind of trying to get into trying to get in there and see if I could get to him. But this new account came up, and I said immediately, this is where we have this power. We go, okay, dude, meet me on the Polish border. I'm ready to come meet you right now. So don't give me a bunch of, please send me money because I'm hiding and all this. Meet me right now. And it's interesting. He tweeted out a model shop of meet me right now. Go ahead.
Sorry, George. Go ahead.
Well, he tweeted out a model shop of tanks, little miniature tanks and so forth. And one of the things I do when I go to towns that are military towns is I go to the places that have the model shops, because there's usually a guy who has a long military career, and then I get into a big discussion. And there's Rahm Emanuel. If you're interested in selling pharmaceuticals tonight, you might want to get with that guy. But he tweeted, he knew, he was smart enough to get to me to tweet out the model shop, the little tank models and stuff. And I thought that was interesting. That was an interesting way to get to me, because he knew something about me that's where I went to Salisbury to get my contact and all these different cities. So it was just interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And I think about some of the, as you're saying that though, I'm thinking about some of the characters that have popped up in your, in the last 5 years that have kind of popped in and out of your career, George, through people, through third parties, through people that you know. And I think about, well, who lives in Europe that used to be friends with George and now might not be a big fan of George's, and how could they be messing with him? And, are these people, which intelligence agency are these people really aligned with? These are the questions that I'm asking when I'm looking at that stuff.
Who's going through kind of a rebirth because he's cheering for Russia is Lee.
Right.
And just by fact that he's Sputnik. It's like, go Z. I saw him say, go Z today. And it's like, I don't ever want to be that guy who's sitting in the peanut gallery throwing peanuts for Z or peanuts for, Zelensky or anybody. But anyway, it is interesting how people are doing kind of, I don't want to say whorish things. I'll never say whorish things, but sort of like whorish things to get views. And I never want to, I don't want to say I never want to whore myself out, but something very close to whoring myself out for that, like cheering for Z. I never want to be that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't wear. Somebody sent one of our fans sent me a picture of himself wearing a Russia sweatshirt the other day, and he said he was going to go to Washington D.C. and spend 5 hours walking around the Capitol with the sweatshirt on, and I said, don't do that. I said, well, first of all, go to the DukeReport.com and click on the store button and get yourself a Duke Report sweatshirt instead of a Russia sweatshirt. That would be the first thing to do. And I'm grifting here, so pardon my grift.
I'll grift. I have my own hoodie store.
Exactly. So you could buy a Tommy sweatshirt. You could buy you can get a You Are Here COVID-19 shirt. There you go. All kinds of stuff there at the Duke Report. But anyway, I said, don't do that. I said, you gotta, first of all, the thing that you're doing is you're acknowledging that Washington, D.C. has got their boot on your face. Like, why would you go there? Why would you go do that? Second of all, it's like, why get involved in this false dialectic? Because they want you to pick a side, right? There's no good side here. The Russians blowing up Ukraine's not a good idea. Ukraine wanting to party with NATO, that's not a good idea. People getting blown up, that's not good. Like none of this stuff is good. So there is no winner here, right? There's no like side that you can be on that's going to make you the good guy. So why go there?
I just plugged my own grift.
Yeah.
Is that where I put it in the private chat? Is that how I do it?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah. Those are all my designs. I taught myself graphic design for 3 years before.
Those are my designs too. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
you just made me think about Tommy has a second career with Tommy No Trauma instead of Tommy Bahama, Tommy No Trauma. You could have a whole line of fashion statement.
You need a new model, Tommy. This guy with the hair.
I don't choose it. It's auto generated. These are all designs.
I know, but can't you pick a different model in the auto generation?
No,
thing?
Look, reveal Princip. There's Archduke Franz Ferdinand getting assassinated. You can have that in a hoodie. The most momentous moment of the 20th century.
And Andy No is modeling it for you.
Probably.
Yes.
Hey man, give me some social justice points. They took down the other hoodie I made. It was the German eagle, but it had a teddy bear underneath it instead of a swastika, and it said "Mine Snuggles," and they took it down. So it was an oversized hoodie. It was supposed to be for cold days.
These are good hoodies.
Quantum Cathedral.
You know what? He's throwing down. I need to kind of up my game here a little.
Oh yeah, no, you can't see them. Those are like 8K images. I designed those over the course of like 3 years. It's they're crazy, but
Snoop Loops,
not that one. That one didn't take that long, but that was just Snoop Loops. But yeah,
producer Carrie's laughing her ass off here in the background.
Yeah, there's the one on there's Shake with Air Gorilla Tutors. There's up top left, Alex Jones. That's Alex Jones as the Vitruvian Man. As Da Vinci, and that text is one of his 10-minute rants on Joe Rogan. And I actually scanned it onto I wrote it onto a high-resolution scan of Da Vinci's parchment. It's about as historically accurate as you could get if Alex Jones was Vitruvian Man. But you don't have to grift for me anymore.
I might need to get that.
So
I made them all, man. You can't tell, but they're Post Malone, BRT.
Bert.
Yeah. That's and then the thought thickens. Yeah. But
you do need a new model.
I don't get to choose it, man. I'm lucky enough that the model doesn't have blue hair and is a pregnant man or whatever the fuck it is.
See, this is my point: is whatever their programming ideas are not working.
It's not working. Yeah,
it's not working because Tommy's obviously not bespelled by this, and Peter, you're certainly not bespelled.
If people bought this stuff instead of Q, we'd be one step closer to saving the world, right?
I definitely agree on the Duke report. If people would have had the Duke report at Jan 6, the world would probably be all drinking Coke right now, or maybe Diet Coke, and teaching the world to sing instead of.
Videos.
Oh, here we go. Look at this.
Yeah, I don't even know what this one is. I just made it. It's
looks like this something Beyonce would wear.
I hope so.
That looks like something John Lennon and Yoko might have knitted.
This is some nice occult shit. Yeah. It's awesome, man. But
Mr. Crowley would love you.
I know, right? Yeah. But more importantly, Elon Musk, do you think that to apply the equal, I like Elon Musk. I think he's an inspiring figure, the amount of shit he does. I know he gets government subsidies. I'm aware of that. But in the same way that I can't say let's own the libs, but at the same time be cheering on the attack on a private corporation, Disney, by the government, something that I personally, in my soul feel is bad, and I'm tempted to cheer it on because Disney's bad. In the same way that I'm attacking Russell Brand, I kind of feel like I need to apply that same criticism to Elon Musk, in that I love him. I think he's great. But he uses a lot of the same things. When he tweets like 420% of statistics are 69 times wrong. And it's just like, hey, he used the sex number and the weed number. And it's like, hey, look, he tweeted Dogecoin. Like, isn't he so relatable? And it's like the dude's worth of $1/3 trillion, and he's in bed with the NRO and the National Geospatial Agency. But everyone's like, he's just.
But he's not the only one. It's interesting because there seems to be this cohort of billionaires: Jack Dorsey, Elon Musk, Mark Andreessen. I don't know if you guys follow Mark Andreessen. He's the guy who started Netscape. He was the undergraduate, University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana Supercomputer Center coder who wrote Netscape and was the first internet billionaire, right? He's tweeting all this populist stuff. There's another one that's escaping me.
Well,
at this
Thiel,
point.
Peter Thiel.
And Peter Thiel called Warren Buffett a sociopath from Omaha at the Bitcoin convention last week. So there seems to be this.
Pulling. It's all PayPal mafia. It's Peter Omadar, all those guys. If you spend any time, Andreessen's the one I had the most interaction with when he was getting going. But if they're all handled, they tell him, say this, then say that, then say this, and then we're going to go over here, and then say this, and then say that. And he was 24. He didn't know anything about business. Jack Clark, the guy who ran Silicon Graphics, was his handler.
No, Jim Clark.
Jim Clark.
Yeah. There is something kind of disgusting about the sort of like relatable billionaire. In the 2000s, we saw it a lot, right? In the 2000s, we saw it, right? The trope.
It sounds like a good idea for a comic book, though. The relatable billionaire.
You know what I'm talking about? In the 2000s, we saw it. 2000s, 2010s, right? It's the billionaire with it's the Silicon Valley billionaire, the guy that wears the hoodie, right? Dude, I'm just like you, man. I do yoga in my office. That asshole. And now we're seeing it more as like I tweet too, like love Minecraft. There's something a little refreshing about Jeff Bezos in that there's nothing behind the eyes. That there's ice in his veins. His head's shaved. He's married to like a Mossad agent. He's not, the people that work in his warehouses have to urinate in bottles because it's the only way they can remain competitive with machines. There's something a little refreshing about him. Bill Gates, that guy's a demon. Larry Ellison, I don't know anything about him. But again, even them, the fact that they're not Zuckerberg, he's a DARPA creation, literally.
It's interesting. It's interesting. All these pictures are Martin Sellner pictures. He's like one of my not that one. He's one of my nemesis.
Yeah, but he doesn't look real either. But like, there is something kind of gross about I tweet too, or look at me, I'm on Snapchat with bunny ears, or it just doesn't.
But isn't that the entire point of like Iron Man movies? In order to kind of like humanize these guys and make them 100%. Relatable.
Again, it's predictive programming. It's Thanos snapping his fingers and half the world dying, and then coincidentally, a couple of years later, there's a pandemic and everyone's got to get the vaccine, and who knows if half the world's going to die. It kind of seems like that, but I don't know. I don't think like Rockefeller or Vanderbilt or Carnegie would have ever tried to like fit in. They wouldn't have gone on Joe Rogan. Like these guys were ruthless pit vipers who would kill their mother for a penny. I appreciate that.
I totally agree, which is why I think that if you see somebody in the media, if you know their name, if you know George Soros's name, or if you know Mark Zuckerberg's name, it means that they're not the ones who are in control. Because the ones who are in control, you don't know their name. You don't know
like Klaus Schwab. Like, man, there is no more of a clear-cut central casting character. It's a hilariously overused German accent who dresses like a Bond villain and openly tells you not that you're gonna have less food, you're gonna eat bugs. This is something that a fourth grader would write.
And you will like it.
Yeah, and you will like it. It seems like that like World War II Disney propaganda where every Japanese person's like, oh, we are coming for your white women. And it's like, it's so evil, but it's the only way you can corral a nation into the war powers effort. When you see Klaus, when you're being told to hate this guy, we will depopulate the world, the fourth industrial revolution. Doesn't it seem like central casting? Like, this guy just arose. Maybe he did. I know
he doesn't look anything like Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah, but I know he's mentored by Kissinger. Like, I don't think he's purely an actor. He's a very competent, intelligent guy. He's evil, but he's competent. I'm not taking that away. But like this guy, he's doing what Alexander the Great couldn't do. He just out of nowhere, he's just decided to great reset the world and penetrate every government on the planet. Doesn't it seem a little like it's that moment you realize you start doing the numbers when you're like 9, you're like, how does Santa get in 7 billion chimneys in one night? It starts to dawn on you. You're like, hold the fuck on. What's going on?
I'm glad that you brought up Santa though, because I use Santa all the time because lots of people are programmed to understand that they believed Santa was a real thing when they were 4, right? And by the time they were 7, they had let go of that idea. And what they don't realize is that the rest of the world is just like that too.
Yeah. Oh, whoa. Just everything we accept is real.
I'm just listening to the somehow.
Good job, Andy.
Yeah, good job, Andy. Somehow, I still think there's humanness here. There's still human spirit that's not being smashed. They're trying to do the whack-a-mole thing and make sure there's no human creativity, no human expression, no human celebration, no creativity. But they're failing. And I don't know. I think art is always maybe the enemy of political control. Look at you, Tommy, with the bedspread. I mean, you've changed the world tonight just by showing the world your bedspread. And
that's a hoodie, George.
Hoodie.
Well, I don't know if it is.
I wasn't going to correct them.
And
you and your motion pictures and your skateboards, you're changing the world.
I don't need to know everything about the bedspread either, Tommy. I just let's leave it at the visual, okay? But I'm just saying that I've traveled all over Europe, circling Ukraine. I'm heading to Azovstal and all this, and they haven't killed me yet. I mean, so I still think somehow there is the room for the individual to be like, it does kind of feel like 1984 Winston versus the world, and ducking under the cameras and whatnot. It does have that feeling, but it's kind of fun to be the guy who's.
Well, I think that I think the thing that makes it fun, though, George, is that there's us to talk to. The people who keep coming to me that are kind of blackpilled on the world that, are Tommy disappeared 10 days ago for
I hit a wall.
You hit a wall. You hit a wall the same day Addie did. Addie hit a wall the same day that you did. A bunch of people hit walls at the same time. And I think that the only way to kind of like keep yourself from spinning out sometimes is that you got to reach out and have conversations with other people and not in a live stream. You got to go have a beer with someone and sit down and talk to them.
I do have to thank you for it because you did reach out to me, and I was in a black-pilled nature, so I was like, I don't really want to talk. But you did, and that was very kind of you. But sometimes the best way to like avoid the wall is to hit the wall and to realize it's okay to hit the wall. And to press on what George was saying, against my black pill earlier, where I was like, it doesn't matter that we see through the propaganda because we see through it and we still don't do anything, which is in itself kind of a broken spirit. But no, the fact that like we are all still getting together and talking, the fact that like George is still traveling, the fact that like I'm, despite the fact that like a satanic centralized government's taking over the world via mRNA shots, we still can joke about our shitty hoodies. There is something in the human spirit that is yet to be broken. And it's when no one even tries anymore, that's when they've really won. But the fact that like the odds of like any positive outcome are still so insignificant, but it's still like, crack the knuckles, like, let's do it. Live stream at 5. And it's like, what are these morons doing? Why are they not just bending over? That is the human spirit. Like, if you truly gave up and you were truly blackpilled, you wouldn't get out of bed in the morning, right? I don't really have there's no really point to that.
No, I agree with you. It is kind of one of those whistling through the graveyard things. And like, we don't really care, and it's like, it does kind of relieve you in a way.
Yeah.
Of worrying about deaths and worrying about, all this stuff, because once you realize, hey, I'm the Spitfire guy. I'm going up against the Luftwaffe. They've had 10 years since the Spanish Civil War. I've had 10 hours, or maybe 10 minutes of training.
No, you had a lot of training because you were from Poland, not from Great Britain.
Well, don't get me started on the Polish pilots with Battle of Britain, but you're right, Peter. But the point I'm trying to make is you're going to still get in the thing. You're still going to get in the Spitfire. You're still going to take it up, and you're going to fly right at them. And you're like, hey, if I die today, it's kind of like Chief Joseph or one of those chiefs said, this is a great day to die. What a beautiful day to die. It's just like you fly right at them. And it's like, even if I lose, even if you shoot me down and you have 10 times force multiplier, technology, and you gang up on me and whatnot, I still have more honor in death than you do.
Yeah.
Because you're scum, right? You're scum trying to eliminate people for Klaus Schwab.
Yeah. It's like what
a sickening existence that is.
Right. Why are we here if not for this?
It's what the first director of the OSS, Wild Bill Donovan, said in World War I. He was leading his men into the breach, or over the top again and again and again. And they were like, what are you doing? They're like, we don't have to keep advancing. And he looked back at them with disgust, and he was like, do you genuinely want to live forever? And there's just machine guns flying everywhere. And there's this mindset of dude, you just go balls to the wall every day anyway. On my worst days, every day I get up, the first thing I do is I make my bed, put on workout clothes, and I go to the gym, come back, cold shower, meditate, podcast. On my most depressed days where I don't do anything, last Friday was the 8-year anniversary of my older brother's suicide. I was hungover and I had food poisoning. So it was a great way to just ring in a terrible day already. So as I'm vomiting and slowly going through alcohol withdrawals on the toilet, I still got up and kind of wiped my face and made my bed. Now, granted, the rest of the day I laid in bed like a piece of shit, but there's still something about you do the things that it's all you have left. But the only thing I had left was I'm still going to make my bed because fuck you, world. I don't care if I hate today, this time of the year. I don't care if it reminds me of the worst time of my life. I don't care if I've been vomiting so much I have burst capillaries around my eyes. I was I still got to make my bed because that's what I do. And there is something beautiful in that about you can't take away it's the band playing on the Titanic. There's something about it to where when you surrender that's death. It's worse than death. You still have to wake up. You have to see the asteroid coming towards the Earth, very slowly. The one that took out the dinosaurs, you could actually see for a month or so before it came in. You got to be able to see that approaching every day. And even the night before it impacts and vaporizes the biosphere, you still got to go, tonight's Sunday, you got to take the trash out. There is a meditation in that where it's you still got to pay the power bill. And it's Dad, the world's going to be vaporized tomorrow. And it's pay it on time. Our credit's good. I think there's beauty in that. I don't really know where I'm going.
No, I think you're right. I mean, the thing that our society does almost better than any society in history is denies mortality. Everything every commercial about a new product is about keeping you from dying, right? Even though we're eating all this food that's killing us. And it's all about kind of denial of mortality. There's no celebration of a life until it's gone. And, I think we should be celebrating it while we're here because we can enjoy it better. I know that George does.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I love both of those things. I somehow think that you avoided throwing up on your bedspread, Tommy, because if you made the bed in such a nice way, I'm thinking you would have wanted to preserve that, little corner.
Just a little bit of dignity I had. I was throwing up and crying and hungover. And I was I'm still gonna open up the blinds because that's what I do in the morning. There is you can't give up the little bit that you have left.
That is almost what the powers that be are trying to do. They're trying to make life so miserable that you don't do your job,
Yes.
and you'll just accept any change at all that they present to you, no matter if it's good or bad. It's just change from your normal miserable life, and hopefully we can get out from underneath that thumb.
It's to break your spirit. The keep calm and carry on, right? The British trope from World War II. I don't know if you've ever seen like the image that it derives from, but it's the milkman delivering milk, and it looks like he's just walking and whistling, but he's walking over the rubble of a destroyed apartment block that was hit by a V2 rocket. But you wouldn't know. He's just like, gotta deliver the milk today. It's Tuesday. There's something about just keep focusing. Just go through the motions. It doesn't mean be an automaton. It doesn't mean don't be aware of your surroundings. There he is. You just keep going through the motions, and just look at that. The guy is in the middle of hell, and he's like, I can't miss my delivery. I don't want to miss my job.
There are people depending on him,
Yeah.
for that milk.
Yeah, you just go through it. You just go through.
Wow, I think I have the juice for a good Substack now. I mean, I can bring in some ironic, similes here, and have tragedy and hope all in one black and white photograph. That's a Peter Duke photograph right there.
Like, look at that guy's face. That's a guy that just like would laugh at. He would give that exact look to Klaus Schwab as he was like, "Your pounds will be turned into patties." He'd be like, "All right, man."
Actually, who took that photo? Because it actually looks like a guy named Henri Cartier-Bresson, but it says poster Jen Dow. Is that the guy's name? Oh no,
no idea. It was taken a little bit before my time. But look, I mean, dude, that guy is in. I mean, just the rubble.
That's an amazing photograph. That's, in fact, that's one of the most amazing photographs I've ever seen.
Like the military is literally right behind.
Yeah, look, over the shoulder, the military, and the rubble is smoking, and he's like, can't let the glass bottles clink together too loud. Don't want to break them.
So just to pop everybody's bubble, though, I wonder how many frames the guy shot and how many times he had him walk back and forth over the.
Oh, no, 100%, 100%, 100% propaganda.
For 10 more seconds.
But even that though, someone who ordered that photo, that's still someone who at least saw the value in doing a propaganda shot instead of just hiding out in a bunker.
Yep.
There's still something there.
Right.
Like that's beautiful.
And that was my motivation when I got started, is that I saw all of the terrible things that photography was being used in order to move people in the wrong direction, and I just thought I wanted to move them in a different direction. And I became enemy number one for a second there, because I was like, you don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was hiding out in the subway tunnels, right? And in Britain, at least someone was like, let's go take this picture. And every black-pilled person was saying, what's the importance of a picture? We need more radar. We need more bombers. And they're like, no, let's go take a picture of this dapper motherfucker up there. And they did.
Well, to your point, though, I mean, right now it's like,
and we're talking about it 77 years later.
It's a great photo. I was talking to, producer Carrie was getting upset at something that she saw on her phone the other day, and I looked at her and I said, you can't let pixels affect you this way.
Yeah,
the pixels are going to give you a stroke. Put the phone down.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, thinking about it. I mean, I'm sitting here in my room, looking at a little camera sitting on my desk, and I've got two pieces of glass in front of me that have 4 faces on them. 3 of them are the guys that I'm talking to, but there's nobody really in here. George is in Poland, and Tommy, where are you? You in Virginia?
I'm in Maryland.
Maryland,
in the corner of an apartment.
And Andy, you're in Michigan.
Yeah.
Right. Like, we're all in different parts of the world, really. Like, if somebody from outer space came and took a picture, or if caveman came and walked into my room here, or a dog walked in here, that they wouldn't have any idea that there are other people that I'm having conversations with. It's
when you give up, it really is. That's the death. Like, you almost have to do it out of spite. You almost have to look at the New World Order and be like, no, you got to kill me. I'm not going to give it to you.
It's going to be a thorn in your side.
It's like when the team is down by 9 touchdowns with 4 seconds left and they're still drawing a play. The winning team's like, you lost. And they're like, all right, you go along. There's physically not enough time. Even if you threw a touchdown with every pass, there's not enough time. But you still get those Tom Brady guys that are like, all right, you're going to break right. And they still do it. And if anything, it's still just about holding up a middle finger to the people that beat you. They're still going to beat you, but it's like, hey, man, at least put a thorn in their side. At least just...
So I read this once. Some people can fact check me on this. I don't know if it's real, but do you know where this came from, Tommy? It came from the Battle of Agincourt, and at the Battle of Agincourt, which was King Henry V versus the French. The French had all of these knights with heavy armor, and the British didn't have that many knights, but they had lots of bowmen with the English longbow. And the French knights said that if they caught any of the bowmen, they would cut their middle fingers off if they caught them, because the bows required so much hand strength that if you didn't have a middle finger, you couldn't be a bowman anymore. And the British destroyed the French with the bows, and at the end of the battle, all of the British bowmen held up their middle fingers to show them that they still had their middle fingers. So that was a story I heard. I don't know if it's true, but that's the story I heard.
Hell yeah.
Well, I think that's the perfect way to end our show. We bring the truth. We walk over rubble to bring you the milk. Fresh every day, the truth, straight from the battle lines. I have to say I've left Poland and gone into Slovakia and then gone into some other countries. And we want to be that guy who, like Tommy said, like Peter said, delivers the truth, no matter what. And if we die doing it, damn it, you at least did it, and I love it. That was a great analogy and a great photo. And but I know Andy's got to go work out. So
I got to be able to carry that milk over the rubble,
Look at those guns, Andy. You've been working out a lot.
Carry the milk.
Hey, someone's got to follow. Tommy wakes up in the morning, so I do my workouts after.
Tommy's got the guns too. Tommy Gun, man.
Tommy.
Again, I lift weights harder than ever out of spite for the world. When they're like, be a soy boy, I'm like, I'm going to build muscle and eat red meat because fuck you. It's just.
The very first show I did a chant where I just went, no more beta boys. That was the chant of my show.
Exactly.
No boys.
Exactly. Just do it out of, genuinely, if nothing else, just do it out of spite for beta boys. Do it out of, you don't have to do it for some heroic reason. Just look at those limp-wristed, just like, I personally love my life and I think that Klaus, do it out of the desire to see them burn in hellfire. I don't know, buy a hoodie. I don't know.
It's almost like the weird British incest gene just got passed down to all these people, and they're all just walking around with this.
Yeah, you know why? Because all those incest beta boys were hanging out in the tunnels, and the Chad was delivering milk, and he was probably taken out by a V2 bomb, and so his gene line ended right there.
All right.
Well, on that note.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Tommy, where can we find you and your show?
Me?
Yeah.
On Rumble. I've been banned from YouTube. And
Tommy, you need a website.
I do.
Call me.
All right. I'm on Rumble. And yeah, I'm banned from Twitter now for calling Sam Stein a faggot. And you know what? I still will. Sam Stein wouldn't carry the milk. I'll carry the milk. Not that guy. Sam Stein's the kind of guy that says we shouldn't be cheering on Hitler's suicide. It's not right to love when a country collapses on itself. No, fuck him. That needs to be eradicated from the gene.
Yeah, my Duke Media website has been kind of like I haven't done anything with it, and I got banned from Linktree of all places. I got
Jesus,
banned.
how'd you do that?
Yeah.
Really?
That's impressive, man.
That's just
Okay.
links.
That's
Links.
the first
I
person
got-
banned from Linktree.
I got banned
That's
from Linktree.
insane.
So if you go to dukemedia.com, all I did was I created my own version of Linktree. So a website doesn't have to be a big crazy thing, Tommy. Like we could build a website that's just basically Linktree.
I don't. How did you? That's like I got banned from YouTube. I'm IP banned from Reddit. I'm not allowed to make new accounts on Imgur, and now Twitter. You got banned from Linktree. That's hardcore, man.
I got banned from Linktree.
That's like solitaire being banned from your computer. Like
Yeah, exactly.
it's the ultimate sanction. That's hardcore, man.
Yeah, indeed. All right.
All right, gentlemen.
I guess I got kudos.
You got some street cred. You
All
got
right.
banned from Linktree. That's intense, man. That's
Well,
like
thanks, guys. This was really great. It's nice touching base with you all back there. And Andy, is there some exciting transition that you can play to play us out?
Well, before we do the transition, I just want to remind everyone to go to thedukereport.com to catch up on Peter Duke's whereabouts and all the news agencies and the voices of citizen journalism that Peter views should have a voice because they are banned on other networks. So go to the Duke Report to catch up on the latest and greatest from around the globe. And thank you once again, Tommy, for jumping in. Thank you, George Webb. Thank God you're safe out there. Your map of going around the globe, if we had a little map following you, it's almost like the Belt and Road Project. We're almost there. So keep it going. And once again, thedukereport.com. Everyone, have a wonderful day. And make sure you go to neighborhoodnewsstudio.com tomorrow to catch up on all of the
Thanks, guys. Thanks,
going
Tommy.
on
Thanks,
here.
Peter.
See you later.
fuck you, Sam Stein. Peace.
Welcome to World War DARPA. This is George Webb, and I've been going all over the world to different bioweapons plants in England, Porton Down. Of course, I've done DynCorp here. And
is April 21st.